Well, hi, it's Julie here from Cricket Leg Creative. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to show you a cute card today that I made for a friend of mine using some stamps from Sunny Studios. It's the Cruisin stamp set, and I also have the coordinating dies. Really cute set with a food truck and some sweets and savories and some cute sentiments to go along with it. I'm also using a lawn fawn die that you can use for sliding elements on your card, and some tree stencil and some city skyline stencil that I've had forever. Don't know where it's from. I think they were freebies with something. And I'm using the tuxedo memento stamp pad. I had already stamped my donut and the truck and just coloring those in. I saw this stamp set originally on a Sandy Almanac video. I think hers is an ice cream truck she used for hers, and her set, I don't know, my truck looks a little different than hers. It's from the same company, but I think they must have redesigned it maybe, but I loved the look of that. I think food trucks are so cute, and so I went out and got that stamp and die set because I thought that would be a lot of fun to make. So I have a friend I'm making this for who was a personal trainer for me for about 1.5 years online. We did meet in person eventually, but spent a lot of time working with her, and just thought I would send her a cute card to let her know I was thinking about her. And she loves donuts. In fact, I think her slogan is donuts over diets. Her name is Kathy Anderson. You can look her out. I think she's Andercat30, Andercat30 on Instagram, ANDERKAT30. And so I'm going to send this card to her, and I'm sure she'll get a kick out of it. She came to visit me one time from the Chicago area, and I picked her up at my local airport with a really big donut balloon. It almost looked just like that one that I stamped and colored in. And it's just kind of a thing. Donuts are kind of her thing. So go check her out. So I'm just using my Ohuhu markers, mostly Ohuhu. I have a few Copics that I'm slowly building my collection for. I'm getting a little better at shading and making dimension, making the objects look like they have some dimension, and with the shading of different colors. Getting a little better, having fun, learning, and really enjoying the whole process. So this set, it's pretty cute. I'm just going to pick up and look at it here while I'm voicing over. There's a burger and fries you can put on top of the truck, a hot dog, an ice cream cone, a donut, and there's actually some sushi and chopsticks. So that is really cute. And there are a lot of different sentiment combinations that you can do. There are also some very small words that you can stamp onto the truck. Like there's a Cruisin cuisine, you can do food truck, sweet truck, all kinds of stuff, burger bus. And then there's Frank's a lot, and treat yourself, and you're the burger to my fries, and have a sweet day, which is what I'm going to be using. Donut worry, be happy, and different combinations. So they're separate stamps so that you can combine them how you want to. So I haven't used this set yet, so I'm just only putting down the donut die just to make sure that I can kind of understand how it's working. Looks good. So then I'm going to put the truck die down and try to line it up as best I can, and tape it down and run that through as well. So one thing I realize as I'm looking at my dies is that because this is going to be kind of sitting on top of the paper and sliding back and forth, I feel like I need a little bit of extra support for the little sign because it doesn't attach on very much. So I just kind of traced around and cut out a little backer piece to go behind those little, what are those things sticking up to hold the sign? And you can see I'm just putting it on there to give it a little bit of extra support. So now I just kind of position the truck so I know about where my road's going to be, and just kind of mark it using a ruler just lightly, just to make sure I'm not super off if I eyeball it. I'm just using a dark gray marker to color in the road, And I just want it to be big enough to allow for the die from Lawn Fawn that I'm going to use for the actual slider piece. And now I'm going to do the background. So I'm starting in the very back of the scene with the sky, and I'm just using a blending tool to put some light color down. It's Tempting Turquoise from Stampin' Up, but you could use any sky color that you really like. And I didn't want to do it too dark because I kind of wanted the whole background to be not super bright and not super detailed. And then I've got this cityscape skyline that I'm going to tape down and use a gray color, kind of a medium gray, to blend in color for a skyline. And again, I'm not going to make that super dark either because I'm not going to be adding any details to it. I just want to give the feeling of the skyline and trees in the background. So kind of making it a little darker at the top than at the bottom. And it ended up working out pretty well for my tree line. It doesn't, the color doesn't go, it kind of goes darker as you go up, and it leaves a little bit of lighter at the bottom around the trees, which kind of makes the trees stand out. So I'm just masking off just a little line above the road because that's where my grass is going to be, and taking a kind of a Christmassy green, I guess, and I did one row of trees that way, again darker, a little darker at the top than at the bottom, and then I'm adding a tree to the side there, and I did it a little bit lighter, and then as I was doing it I realized I really kind of like that. So after I do this one tree on the edge, I'm gonna reposition this stencil and add kind of like a second row behind of trees, a little bit lighter, and what that'll do is kind of give some depth to this background scene so that it looks like you have dark trees in the foreground. Typically you're going to have darker images in the foreground, more intense color, and then the farther back you go, the lighter the objects will become. So I think that looks pretty good. I like that. So I'm just going to use kind of a appley green color to just color in, marker in the grass. I'm not going to do any shading or anything like that there. I'm just going to fill that in. And once that's done, I'll be able to work on the mechanism of the card, which is the Lawn Fawn die that you see that I'm positioning there. And I'm just kind of using the truck to make sure that I've got it in the right spot where I want to position it. And then I see something that I don't like. I do this every time. I really think my fingers are clean, and then I do that. And normally the old me would just say, forget it, I'm going to start over. But something I've been learning recently is just to keep going. Don't worry about it, and while you're finishing other things, you will figure out what to do to fix the card. So I run that through the die cut machine, and it just cuts that little thing out for me. Now what I'm going to do is, as Sandy Allnock did in her video, using 2 circles on the back of the card to help run it through. And you'll see what I mean now. I need 2 of those. Running those through, and I'm going to color those in. It would have been a lot easier had I just colored a section of cardstock first and then cut it out after, but I didn't think about that till after I had die cut those 2 circles. So just colored them the same color as the road that I made. And now I'm going to add some foam tape, just tiny strips. And I realized too at this point I really should have let those circles dry a little more, because the tape really did not want to stick to saturated paper. So if you do this, make sure you let it dry a little bit more than I did before you stick the double stick tape on. I had a little bit of a struggle getting that on there, but it eventually all worked out. So now I'm going to just kind of lay that over and just make sure that that tape isn't in the way. I think I had to redo that one because it did not want to stick. And I took an embossing buddy thing powder to just kind of take the stick off of the edges of the tape, just in case it wanted to stick to that a little sliding window. Then you take the backs off of the double stick tape, and then you can lay the truck or whatever it is you want to have sliding right on top of it, and that will hide the little mechanism that you've used, so it'll slide back and forth through the window. You can see from the back what that looks like. So because this is kind of sticking up just a little bit, I added a foam tape to the back. I did not take the other side off. I just stuck it on one side and let the other side keep its backing tape. It might help it slide a little better and give it some support. So I've figured out at this point what to do about that smudge, and I've taken some of the words that say "Have a sweet day," and I'm making sure right here that I got the right size circle that it'll fit into, and I'm just going to die cut that out and stamp on top of that, and then I'm going to have another backer piece circle one size bigger that I will use as an accent color, and again, should have colored the paper first. It's a lot easier to color when you don't already have the shape cut out, but that's fine. So I'm gonna take, here we go, that's where I'm doing it. I'm stamping "Have a sweet day." I always try to stamp over on the side just to make sure that I didn't hit a dry spot on the stamp pad, and just to get a good image. Putting that on there and then foam taping that. I want that to pop up just a little bit to give it some dimension, and covering my boo-boo, which I seem to make on every card. Now, I had started to do "You're awesome" on that acrylic block, but I realized I would have a lot easier time lining it up if I used a bigger block that had grid lines on it. So getting that ready, again, stamping that to the side just to make sure, and then putting that right kind of above the skyline where I want it, and stamping "You're awesome." Now I'm going to add that card front to some black cardstock because that little slider window has some empty space in it, and I don't want that to be showing through on a white card. So I'm using my Score Buddy to position that together. It's a little easier to line the corners up that way, and there you go. That's the front of the card. And then all I have to do is add that to a card front, which I'm doing here, with some Lawn Fawn 1/8 inch double stick tape. I love that tape. I use it all the time, and I find it comes off really easily. That little backer tape comes off really easily. I don't have to struggle with it. Lining it up in the corner again so that I can get it just right, and there you go. So here's my little card. It does not slide quite as easily with that backer piece, and you could probably use foam tape between the card front and that black cardstock, but I think it was fine. So I'm just taking my little donut stamp and embellishing the envelope with a blue, the same blue that I used for ink blending the blue sky, so that I have a little bit of specialness on the outside as well. And there's the card. All done. I'm so excited to send this to my friend. I think she's gonna love it. I appreciate you coming by and watching this video. I'd love it if you would subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of future videos, and give me a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video. Y'all take care.